Shalom from Jerusalem. This is TV7's Israel Tour update. And in today's edition, we will focus on a couple of issues to include the situation with regard to the Trump plan. Where are we with regard to Hamas's response? The situation in Yemen, the Eastern Mediterranean, and other locations throughout the region. But before all that, it's important to highlight today we mark day 728 since the Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates perpetrated the atrocities against the southern communities of Israel. And with that, I'd like to introduce our experts for today, to include Mr. Amir Oren, our TV7 editor-at-large. Next to him, Brigadier General in Reserve, Yaron Rosen, formerly the IDF Chief of Cyber Staff, Israel Air Force Commander, and a fighter pilot. And last but not least, Brigadier General in Reserve, Doron Gavish, formerly the Chief of Air Defense, currently the Commander of the Israeli Air Force Task Force for Air and Missile Defense. And I'd like to start immediately with you, Mr. Oren. Trump's plan, Hamas has yet to provide a response. What can you tell us about it?
Yes, indeed. The wait for an authoritative Hamas response rather than rumors, gossip, and second-hand reports. This, of course, gets sharper by the hour because President Trump set a deadline of 3 to 4 days, which means that over the weekend, Hamas must give some sort of response, yes or no. And obviously, this is timed for next week when the Nobel Peace Prize Committee, which is composed of 5 Norwegian parliamentarians, obviously this is the only prize not decided by Swedes, rather by Norwegians, Norway having been part of Sweden in the 19th century. This is going to be announced. President Trump believes that his eligibility for the prize has been proven and bolstered by this plan. And if Hamas gives its approval, even if it is conditioned on some guarantees, that in Trump's eyes would nail down his prize. Of course, we don't know what will happen in Oslo, but for him, it seems almost certain. So there is a lot of pressure put by the Trump administration on Qatar, on Turkey, on whoever can put pressure on Hamas to respond positively. Maybe Trump will somewhat modify the original formula he put forward a few days ago. But as you said, yes, this is right now the major game in town.
Well, with regard to the Nobel Peace Prize, honestly, it's a political issue. And other than the prestige, supposedly, and the legacy that is important to every president, if we put it on the table, I did a check with regard to the contrast between the various presidents on who actually brought about the majority of, or the most conflict resolutions throughout the international community, to include concrete normalization accords and such. And it seems that President Trump has outweighed the others quite by a large margin, which does surprise that he is not being considered seriously by Norway. Nevertheless, understanding also the Norwegian perspective and the royal house there, it seems that they have other considerations, and the merit of certain aspects is not the only calculation within their decision making. But nonetheless, we'll have to wait and see. Next week, as you mentioned, Mr. Owen, is a point in which such an announcement may be made. So it may be quite interesting to see. General Rosen, I'd like to turn to you. This plan, there are a lot of conflicting reports on whether or not Hamas does accept it, will accept it. Izzeldin al Haddad, who is the commander of the Izzeldin al Qassam brigades in Gaza, namely the Hamas armed wing, and Halil al Haya, who is the political leader of Hamas, both are considered to be part of the Iranian camp, which usually opposes those type of diplomatic overtures, as opposed to the other camps that are affiliated either to Turkey or Qatar or Egypt or other countries. Uh, does that provide us some insight into where Hamas may lead ultimately with regard to its decision making?
I don't think so yet. Sadly, it's really hard to understand the logic behind this terror organization. There is a logic, but it's just not ours, sadly. And that's why it's really hard to understand which way Hamas will go. If you're willing to pay the ultimate price and give your life to this madness that's going on in Gaza and all the 2 million Gazans that are been suffering for the last 2 years, it's really hard to understand how you will actually answer to this proposal. But it's important, I think, in this context, it's really important to understand that the very interesting thing that President Trump did is, first of all, he's shaken the tree again, like all the rules of all the supporters and defenders and opposers of all the old way of doing business in the Middle East. President Trump is doing something very important. He's shaking alliances and he's trying to sort of paint a new narrative. And that is very important because if there is a chance that this thing will actually reshape in whatever sequence that will, arise from this proposal, it's only by changing old narratives and going to a new era when these the sort of a change of guard of narratives. That's the only way to do it. And I think he did this in a very smart way, as he has done before with some of the regional players. And to note, I think it's important to say, as the saying goes, keep your enemies close. I think he did that twice in this tree shaking. One is Turkey, which is a surprise. Dragging Turkey into this and praising Erdogan as he has praised in this in the address, in the presidential address, was part of how he's keeping him close. And by the way, it's very interesting because I think it's also in a way, in a very sophisticated way, even I might say, with Qatar. Qatar is a very strange entity. It's a country that on one hand, everybody knows what it's doing, including its direct involvement with the 9/11 attacks, and what it does to support, global terror and terror organizations, and even Iran. It's playing a very dangerous game. So he's also keeping Qatar close because the United States has assets there. That's one very important side of it. But the other side of it, the risk, it's a double-edged sword, sort of, is that, if you go to sleep with the dogs, no surprise that you wake up in the morning with fleas. So this is the fine line that we're going on. I think that if Hamas says yes, we are off to a very interesting change in the regional narrative that is still yet to be told. If Hamas says no, a very sad end for Gaza and for the hostages and for the war. That's what I think is going to happen in the next 48 hours or less.
Well, let's talk for a moment about what if Hamas does indeed say no. General Gavish, the Israeli statement was quite vigorous. Um, unless they do it the easy way, which is accepting the deal, there will be the hard way to reckon with.
Indeed, Jonathan, but let me add to what was just mentioned by General Yerozen, that another very smart move by the Trump administration is that they are not now the one who's dealing, or us are the ones that are dealing with the Hamas. It's the Arab countries which are dealing with the Hamas. They all said yes to it. Turkey, the Arab nations, Egypt, the others, they all said yes to it, Qatar. And now they are the one who are pressing the Hamas. So I think that we really hope that something good would come out of it. But even if it won't happen, at least for the short term, I think that from the Israeli point of view, while Israel said yes to it, we are on the same side in a way. And I think that it might also generate some prospects to the future that we cannot even calculate them at this point. So I think this is something very smart. And the other thing that he did, he kept the door open to the Iranians. He said it was part of what he said over there. And I think this is also something which is important. So very, very smart move by the Trump administration and Jared Kushner and Witkoff and what they've done in the past with the Abraham Accord. They've did things that we didn't thought that they would work, and they're working. So this is what I wanted to add to the previous discussion. Going back to your question, Jonathan, Israel is ready for it. Israel, the plans are there. The IDF have the full plans of continuing with this war. It's very unfortunate. No one wants to be there. We all want our hostages back. But I think that if there is something that we've learned from the past is that we cannot stay only on the side of those that are talking. We have to stay on the side of those that are also doing. And Israel is there. Israel is doing, and Israel will do. Also, if we would have to in the Gaza Strip, and the IDF is prepared to it.
Thank you, General Gavish. Mr. Oren, let's shift gears. During the Day of Atonement, unfortunately, we saw a couple of incidents across the world, one of which was, of course, in Manchester, where two Jews lost their lives next to a synagogue in Manchester, or the greater Manchester city. Three others were wounded. The Greater Manchester Police eliminated the terrorist, jihadist named Jihad, ironically, who received his British citizenship in 2006, a Syrian, namely. Now, this was not the only incident. Thankfully, Germany managed to prevent such serious attack by unveiling a whole network of terrorists trying to prepare, again, jihadist terrorists, Islamists, trying to prepare attacks against Jewish centers and institutions. And not only German federal police are also investigating additional targets of those Islamists. What are we to take out of that, and to what degree is Europe and the international community, particularly those aligned with Western civilization at large, to include, of course, the United States, Australia, and others, doing in order to ensure that those type of attacks do not materialize?
Well, nothing can ever be prevented totally. Neither crime nor terrorism. This is human nature. This is the way systems work. You don't have 100% cover. And as our friend General Gavish will tell you, there is no hermetic air and missile defense either. Now, earlier today, the British police officially stated that one of the fatalities in the Greater Manchester area was caused by police bullets. which is very unfortunate, but this is what happens in the very first moments when first responders come to the scene, be they counter-terrorist experts, snipers, or regular police and other armed men who are trying to prevent further bloodshed and sometimes, again, unfortunately, cause quote-unquote friendly fire. Now, as for the German incident, the Israeli Mossad agency in its statement complimented the German authorities for their cooperation and collaboration. And one other point, all of those who are supporting the idea of relocating hundreds of thousands of Gazans or others, sending them abroad out of these reservoirs of would-be terrorists could come the next attacks. So there is a downside even to emptying the adjacent platforms for terrorism, because terrorism knows no bounds and can strike at Israelis and Jews all over the world.
Terrorism knows no bounds. That is an understatement. With that being said, I very much hope that if the relocation indeed takes place voluntarily within context of international law, of course, that European nations are not naive enough to absorb them, despite the fact that we are seeing Belgium and Canada and other countries doing so happily without looking around and just opening their eyes to the atrocities committed in so many countries, including their own, with countries such as Belgium, looking at Antwerp and other places. I mean, it's unrecognizable these days, but that's for another segment. General Rosen, I'd like to ask you particularly, not about the point we just discussed with Mr. Owen, but about the Sumud flotilla. There was a very successful naval operation to ensure the strict adherence of Israel's ongoing blockade against the Hamas-infested Gaza Strip. This blockade has been in place for many years now, and under various commissions that were even brought forth by the UN Secretary General, they all found that it was a legal blockade, and yet for some reason those anti-Israel individuals who are constantly provoking Israel through other means and methods, they seem to think that international law is whatever they think it is. But it's thankfully this incident ended without casualties or wounded or killed, and all those people will be kicked out of Israel sooner than later.
Yeah, kicked out on the expense of Israeli taxpayer, sadly. I wish we could send a check again to the various governments that are letting this happen and not stopping them before they sail out from the ports wherever they come from. But the sea, just like any other stage, is another stage, and this activism met a blockade policy, and the main cargo here is the camera. There's no other thing to show here. People did it because they knew exactly how it would end. We know it, they know it. It's a kind of a sad game again that the governments are letting this happen in the name of activism and free Palestine and from the river to the sea. And that's where the money comes from, and it does its thing, and it keeps Israel busy, and the Navy's busy. It's a stage story, just as all the From the River to the Sea show is globally. It's all staged and financed by the same Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Muslim Brotherhood and Qatar. All these things, they all lead to one, again and again, they all lead to the money trail all goes back to the same place. So it's just part of what Israel has to deal with. And I think that's what we will have to continue to deal with. And jumping to another maritime arena is the Houthis, which somehow keep shooting the ballistic missiles and drones toward Israel. Same there. We are, from Sana'a to Tel Aviv. It's still Iran. It's still the test. It's, some of this is independent Yemenite Houthi Yemenite capabilities, but this is going to continue challenges until the regional change that started with President Trump's proposal when it kicks in. That's the only way for us to move forward from this, and we will still have to continue and fight the Houthis.
Thank you, General Rosen. With regard to the Samud, the 400 and some activists that were arrested as part of this deliberate ploy. Ironically, as you mentioned, the only thing that was in cargo is a camera, quite literally. They did not have humanitarian aid on board, despite claiming otherwise. And therefore, when asked by both Israel and the Italian government to divert this humanitarian aid through the proper channels in accordance with international law, they refused because there was nothing to accept to. General Gavish, with regard to the Houthis, unfortunately, it's not only against Israel, but the latest attack by the Houthis also included a direct surface-to-sea projectile that struck a Dutch vessel this time, a Dutch-flagged vessel. At what point are we going to see an international coalition rise to really confront those Houthis once and for all?
Well, we really hope that this is what would happen. We are really expecting it for so long time because we have an example that it is not Israeli flagged ships that are being attacked. This is a European country, the Netherlands. They said that they were planning to go to Tel Aviv, and this was the reason. But they don't really care if it is Israel, if it is a European country or others. They just strike. And it is really about time that the international community would step forward dealing with the Houthis because it is not only an Israeli issue, as we mentioned again and again. With regard to it, I want to believe that going back to the Trump initiative, which is touching the roots, I would say, of the conflicts. So if we would get to a kind of an agreement in the Gaza Strip, so probably also the Houthis, it's not that they won't be there, but at least they won't have any reason to shoot toward Israel, as they did, by the way, when we had the previous ceasefire. So maybe this would be another way to deal with the Houthis is by going forward with the Trump initiative.
Thank you, General Gavish. I will point out that the European navies, various European navies, are working very hard to increase the number of vessels, war vessels, at their disposal, to include corvettes and frigates and other types of naval vessels. But of course, those type of upgrades take time, and the issue is immediate. So the question is whether or not they can allocate the necessary number of vessels to really deal with the Houthis in a fashion that would alter the equation and reinstate freedom of navigation in the high seas, particularly here, a very strategic strait, Bab el-Mandeb, and I suspect, regrettably, that we're going to see more of those type of events in the near future. Mr. Owen, you have roughly... Yes, General Rosen.
Just to note one thing that this is going to do, and might be much faster in the near term, which I think is interesting geopolitically, is the North Sea route. The Trump administration has not mistakenly started eyeing the North route through Greenland because traveling through the ocean, the North Sea, is much shorter than going through the Bab el-Mandab for all the reasons that we just spoke. I just wanted to point this out because I think strategically this is one of the biggest changes in the next 50 years when the seas get warmer.
Absolutely. The Arctic, meaning the North Sea, is next to the Netherlands.
Yes, the Arctic, correct.
Yes.
The Arctic Circle, correct.
Indeed. Mr. Owen, final sentence.
Former Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, who still has his sources in the defense establishment, issued a very unique warning to the Israeli population that over the next several days, we still have the Sukkot festival, there could be an Iranian attack on Israel, and that the Israeli civilians should be not too far from shelters and safe rooms. Now, the official sources who responded to Lieberman's warning said that they know of no reason for such an alert, but Israelis should take heed.
Well, it's always important to remain vigilant, irrespective of what is being said. But all in all, the Iranians know full well that any attempt to launch such an attack against Israel would cost the regime its own reign of power in Tehran.
But isn't this what we said about Hamas before October 7th?
Well, let's see if they agree to the deal or not. Regardless, they don't know whether or not they're going to survive either way. So we'll have to wait and see. Thank you, Mr. Owen, General Rosen, and General Kavish for all of your insights. I'd like also to thank all of you at home as well and wish you a Shabbat Shalom u'Mevorach. Until our next time, Shalom from Jerusalem. For more of TV7's productions and editorials, we invite you to visit our website at TV7israelnews.com.